They had been to his home 14 times since 2010.
We train officers specifically in how to talk to and de-escalate mentally ill individuals. But when we are confronted with weapons, we have to take appropriate action, not only to protect our own lives, but those of others.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Howard Brodsky explains the societal issues facing the mentally ill today.
There's fewer resources, there's fewer jobs for people, there's fewer family resources to deal with these problems, and people with less and less to do tend to get in more and more problems.
But the problem, Brodsky says, cannot be blamed completely on a lack of social welfare resources.
I think inevitably society has to take responsibility for these kinds of problems, and the dollars will eventually get there. Because if we don't spend it on social programs in the community, we're going to be spending it more and more with correctional programs.
Meanwhile, police say the department does its best to reach out to mentally ill citizens proactively.
I think it's important that mentally ill people, particularly in cases like this where we make several calls, that there's a relationship between that person and police officers, so that when and if we are called, if there's crisis or trauma, that we know one another and we can talk on a first-name basis.
And it's also important to note, last night the man in this case actually threw one of his machetes at the officers. They still did not shoot him until he tried to use that second machete by lunging forward at the officers. That's when they eventually stopped the threat and shot him multiple times. That man remains in serious condition today at a Wichita hospital. We're live in Northwest Wichita. Jared Sorello, KAKE News.
And digging deeper, a November 2011 report from the National Alliance on Mental Illness indicates the drop in spending in Kansas for mental health services, a 12.4% reduction in appropriations by the state legislature and Governor Sam Brownback, Mark Parkinson, and Kathleen Sebelius. That comes to $14.3 million. Kansas is among a group of 10 states with the deepest percentage reductions in mental health spending.
Well, the other of last night's shootings began with a 911 call about a man acting erratically near Central and Woodlawn. Now, when officers arrived, they found a man in his 30s jumping into traffic. When a Wichita police officer approached, the man pulled something out of his pocket. The officers thought it looked like a gun.
Each one of them feared for their lives because they didn't know what this guy had. Because when you look at the large object and you look at the front end of it, it resembles a barrel. And so in your mind, you're processing gun.
Wichita police say the object the man pointed at the officers was similar to this thing. An Eastboro officer fired several shots, hitting the suspect in the thigh. The man was taken to a Wichita hospital. He was treated and released, then booked into jail on 2 counts of aggravated assault.
Weather now from the KakeLand Weatherflex.
Well, we have no thunderstorms in KakeLand right now, but you don't have to travel too far to see these thunderstorms. Just a few thunderstorms rolling out of eastern Colorado this afternoon. This is pushing to the east. This one currently does not have a severe thunderstorm warning.